Update: am I the a-hole for looking into professional babysitters for my child? Original story: I have a daughter who is roughly 1 year old. Her name is Allison. Her dad and I both work full-time jobs where I work between 35 to 40 hours a week, and he works anywhere between 40 to 45 hours. We both work mornings. My friends Tom, 23 male, and Skylar, 24 female, had volunteered to watch Allison for us, as Tom worked from home and Allison isn't known to cry very often. At first it was going great. Tom would have Allison in a separate and baby-proofed room where she could play with her toys while he worked. Then Skylar would take over when she came home. We offered to pay many times, but they kept refusing, and Skylar would ask us to bring Allison over if it had been a while since we asked her to help with the babysitting. Finally, we agreed to them having Allison 3 days a week, but they made us promise to stop offering to pay them. It was great for a while, it really worked out, but then Allison started coming home with rashes from stale diapers. She had been extremely fussy and hungry by the time we got home. We would talk to Tom and Skylar about this and request that they be more observant of her diapers at the very least. Her thrashing and screaming because diaper anointment hurt broke my heart every time, especially since I knew that it was avoidable. They'd say yes, but after a while would go back. They've recently started lying to get out of their arrangement, claiming to be out of town for the week, then Snapchat showing them being at home with their birds. They'd claim they were sick, but our mutual friends would still be hanging out and claiming that they wouldn't be at home all week from work when Tom works strictly from home. His job doesn't even have a main office. Without them knowing, we registered Allison with a professional daycare service. I drop her off in the morning and her dad picks her up. Word got to Skylar and Tom, and now they're blowing up our phones, calling us evil, shifty, and rude for not telling them that they wouldn't have Alice anymore, and claiming I betrayed their trust by not talking to them about my concerns. Am I the a-hole for finding daycare for Allison? And now for the comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole, and am I the only one to smell a rat here? They refuse payment, odd for so much time dedicated, and you know that they at least neglected your child's health and needs while they're in their care, which is enough reason to stop them from looking after her. I'm concerned that they have been so upset about professional daycare. OP, I'd be keeping an extra close eye and only supervise visits if any at all from here on in. Something doesn't seem right to me. I wouldn't let my child go there ever again. They volunteered to watch the child for free and made OP promise not to offer to pay. Yet all they supposedly do is put her in a baby-proof room while they work. They also asked to see Allison after they hadn't babysat in a while. A million red flags here on top of the fact that she wasn't being changed or fed. As for the visits, we haven't seen them in 3 weeks, so they haven't been around Allison, and I don't see that changing. I just have this sick feeling in my gut, and I don't know if it's guilt or instinct. We've been talking about possible overnights once a week due to the late pickup and early drop-off times, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. due to our work schedules and drives, and I'm just glad I had never agreed to it. Not the a-hole for changing to a daycare, but honestly, you are the a-hole for accepting this in the first place. It is not developmentally appropriate for a 1-year-old to be left in a room by herself with toys all day, while the only adult is in the house working in another room. Babies need socialization. They need to feel secure about their needs will be met. None of that happened under the scenario that you described, and you are the a-hole for not pulling her when you first realized she was coming home unchanged and hungry. Instead, you waited until they started flaking out on you. That was the last straw, not their neglect of your child. And here's the thing, whether or not there is sexual assault, you already know your child was abused. She wasn't fed and she wasn't changed. Neglect is also abuse. So even if there was no sexual assault, you should not treat that as clearing them or making them suitable caretakers for your child. They are not and should never have let your child go back once you realized that she was being neglected. Now for the updates. Update, undated, in an edit. I'm not really going to go into too much detail yet, but we have been advised by Allison's pediatrician to launch an investigation against Tom and Skylar for what I thought was diaper rash. It was apparently burns, which would explain how it appeared in the course of one day as badly as it had, and why it didn't seem to be healing. Allison is not going into her daycare tomorrow. She will not be leaving my side. My boss is offering me the ability to stay home with her during the course of everything. If a further update is requested at a later time, I will, but I can't for now. I don't have the mental capacity. Thank you everyone for assuring me I did the right thing in advising medical counsel. I feel like a horrible mom and for not doing so sooner, but we'll put that aside for now to care for my daughter. Update 2. I want to start by saying thank you very much for everyone's kind words and advice. It's been an insane week since I posted, and I have no idea how it would be if I hadn't followed the advice of everybody here. As I had updated on the previous post, I followed the advice of the comments and took Allison to her pediatrician for an emergency appointment. I had thought it was a bad diaper rash she had come home with 4 weeks ago, and last week learned it was chemical burns. Following that update, both my pediatrician and all of you pushed for me to get the police involved. I didn't have to be asked twice. Tom and Skylar are being investigated by the police for what they did to Allison. I don't know a lot yet, but I was told that Tom and Skylar would in no way win the case. Tom was apparently unemployed for the whole time, and his job was maintaining a website he and Skylar made documenting what they were doing with Allison and 2 other children. The website has been taken down already, and the other parents are being investigated as well due to evidence of consent. A detective also informed me that Tom and Skylar had admitted guilt to their actions. I haven't been told what the actions were, but my husband knows, and he has said that Tom and Skylar were lucky the police found them first. They have provided the items in which were used. I was told the burns likely came from a lubricant that Tom and Skylar used. I didn't ask why they had it, and I'm praying it was intended as a desiccant substitute. Probably naive of me. Allison is still home with me, and my husband and I are looking into a multitude of therapy options. We are also looking into moving back to where our families are, or my brother moving in with us to help us ground ourselves to reality again. My mother-in-law has already booked a hotel nearby and is with us every day to help us make sure Allison knows she is safe and loved. I wish she could talk and understand that we won't let anything happen to her again, but for now, I will settle with holding her when she needs me and rubbing her back when she goes to sleep. Life will not be the same moving forward for a while, and I know that. I am just beyond thankful that I posted and everybody here was able to point out the red flags and concerns so I could make the right choice for my daughter. I was blinded by 15 years of friendship and couldn't fathom that they had intentionally hurt my baby girl. I see that now and will forever carry that with me, as it was a failure on my part to protect my daughter. The rose-colored glasses are off now. Thank you to everybody here for helping me and my family. Update 3. It's been a long time since I've even thought of Reddit, I'll admit, but I logged on today and saw a slew of messages from people asking how I was doing, how Allison was doing. It's a lot. I also had some notifications of Reddit giving me numbers for a crisis line, which shows that even some more silent people were concerned. I appreciate every single one of you that messaged me. For everyone wondering, Allison is doing better. Her therapy 3 visits a week now is working well for her. She looks forward to her therapist showing up, and they get along very well. Because of her age, they're doing play therapy. I'm not a doctor, so it doesn't make sense to me, but my little girl is acting like herself again. Diaper changes are still a struggle, but our pediatrician is helping us to try for an early potty training so that Allison doesn't have to re-experience her trauma. We're not successful yet on that, but it's too soon to tell, I think. My husband and I are going to therapy as well. A lot of guilt is not seeing the signs that our therapist claims is misplaced. I'm not 100% sold on that idea yet, but again, therapy probably takes a while. I still feel like I should have known and that I failed my kiddo, but I'm working on it. Tom and Skylar have their sentencing next week. My lawyer is saying that they'll likely be put away for a long time, that Allison will likely have graduated college before they're out. The longer they're put away and suffering for what they did to my daughter and those 2 other kids, the happier I am. We've already moved to a new city. We wanted to move out of state, but Allison loves her therapist, so we moved as far as we could while still being able to have the same therapist come over for Allison. Coincidentally, closer to where the therapist lives, so she doesn't have far to drive. I don't think I'll update again, but I just wanted to let you know we're going to be okay. Allison is already showing improvement, and my husband and I are working on it. A couple of people have said that I should have known better, or that I was awful for accepting my ex-friend's offer in the first place, and I agree. But I'm not going to let it rule my life. What happened happened. I can't change that, I did fail my daughter there, but I've learned and will be making everything as good as I can for her. I don't think I'll be reposting again, so I just wanted to say one more thing. Thank you to everyone here on Reddit. You were all helpful and encouraging. I'm beyond thankful for all the kind words and support I got here on Reddit. Story 2. Update. Am I wrong for divorcing my ex-wife over kids and now refusing to be part of her son's life? Original post. I want to preface this by saying that I have no intentions of getting back with my ex, and I'm in a very happy relationship with my now fiancé. And I'm sorry this is long, I just wanted to add all the context in, and I'm not the best with words. I, 46 male, married my ex-wife, 45 female, when we were both 26 and 25 respectively. At that time, we were both on the fence about having kids. I knew since college that I wanted to retire early, and my dream of having financial freedom was what really made me realize that kids didn't fit into the life that I wanted. I was trying to find the right time to talk with her about it, but over the next few weeks, she started dropping hints that she wanted kids. She started showing me photos of her friends' kids, commenting on our nieces and nephews, joking about her getting and being pregnant. That one freaked me out, and even bought me a book on the joys of fatherhood that she thought that I'd find interesting. I sat her down and asked her if she wanted kids, and she admitted that over the years she had grown to want a family. We had a conversation about it, and I realized that neither one of us was going to change our minds. I didn't want to keep her from what she wanted in life, so I brought up divorce. She really didn't want to divorce and kept trying to get me to want kids. But I stuck to what I wanted, and we ended up separating. I obviously still loved her, but that's why I wanted to divorce. We were still young, and she could find someone to have a family that she wants with. I didn't want her to resent me for forcing my life choices onto her. Even after I filed for divorce, she still didn't agree with me and dragged it out as long as she could. So the divorce took almost 2 years. I dated over the years, but never really found someone that I could see myself sharing the rest of my life with until I met my now fiancé 4 years ago. Apparently my ex-wife struggled with dating as well and hasn't remarried yet. She has a son, but the kid's dad isn't in the picture. She recently reached out to me and asked if we could catch up. I talked to my fiancé about it, and she thought it'd be a great way to clear up any bad blood between us, so I agreed to meet up with her for coffee. Things seemed to be going well until she brought up her son. She asked me if I was willing to be part of his life as a masculine influence, and I told her I was glad that she was able to have a child, but that still wasn't anything that I was interested in. She tried to change my mind by saying that we could be a family again. She kept trying to convince me, and I kept trying to change the subject. I admit I got frustrated because things weren't going as I had hoped that they would, and I told her that I was happy with my fiancé's name and that I wasn't interested in her. She started to insult my fiancé, so I left. I thought what happened was crazy, but when I agreed to meet with her, it never even occurred to me that she might want to get back together, considering how long it's been, and I'm not single. She kept messaging me, so I blocked her. I don't plan on talking with her again. I was talking with my sister and her husband about it, and they said that while I'm totally right for rejecting her now, that it was an a-hole move on my part to divorce her in the first place, and that I was now being an a-hole again by not being part of her kid's life. They both agreed that my ex was right for wanting to work it out. They said it's my fault that her child doesn't have a father. Are you even kidding me? And that if I had given kids a chance, I would have changed my mind. I just don't agree that kids are something one should compromise on. I just don't see how it's possible for it to be a bad situation for everyone involved that breeds resentment. I don't know my ex's child at all, and I don't agree that it's my responsibility to step up. No, it's not your responsibility. Just because his bio dad didn't. I asked some other friends and family, and they agreed with my sister, so now I'm not sure if what I did was right or wrong, and I'm just wrongfully justifying it to myself. No, it's not your responsibility. Now for the update. So some things have happened. My ex-wife somehow got a hold of my fiance's phone number. She contacted her yesterday and made false accusations that I cheated on her when we met up for coffee. Obviously, my fiance didn't believe her and just blocked her number. This morning, my sister showed up uninvited to my fiance's house with her kids demanding to talk. We don't live together and I was not there. My fiance originally wasn't going to let them in, but my sister sat on her porch and refused to leave. It was cold and windy and the kids didn't have coats on, and since it's not the kids' fault, she ended up giving in. She put on a show for the kids and made some coffee to prepare herself for whatever shit my sister was going to say. My sister started a whole spiel about how if she, my fiance, really cared about me and not just my money, then she would do what's best for me and leave. My sister claimed that since I'll always be connected to my ex, that I will be forever unhappy if I'm with anyone else. Apparently, if my fiance doesn't leave me, it's proof that she's only with me for my money, and that it's obvious that my ex and our child, which, what the F, is not my kid, would actually use the money in a godly way. My fiance laughed in my sister's face and just stared at her until she left. My fiance and I are both a little confused by what she said. I am better off financially than my fiance, but not by that much. I'm also not religious, so even if I did get back with my ex, me and my money would still not be godly. We know she's crazy, but again, why did she think her plan would do anything? After my sister left, my fiance called me and told me what had happened. I called my sister to tell her to leave my fiance alone and that she was crazy and delusional. She defended herself by saying that she knew what was best for me and was just protecting me from going through with the wedding since my fiance was obviously taking advantage of me, and that since I'm under her spell, I can't protect myself. I again told her she was crazy and delusional, and told her that I never wanted to hear from her or anyone who's siding with my ex again, and to please pass that message along. Every time a family member or friend messages me about it, which has been 6 since this morning, I ask them what their thoughts on the matter are, and if they side with my ex or sister, I block them. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my son's wedding even though I paid for his siblings? There is a lot to this, and I'm not entirely sure that I can accurately sum everything up. Long story short, my youngest son, 24 years of age, is excitedly planning his wedding. Our family is fairly well-to-do, and my children, even as adults, some with children of their own, are somewhat spoiled. Either father likes spoiling them. They are good people and deserve it. However, Jason, not his real name, has always struggled with both being academically and especially socially. He's gay, and we live in a particularly conservative area, so he's had a rough go of it. I will also say not a lot of the family agrees with Jason's lifestyle, both immediate and distant. That in and itself has led to a lot of conflict. Naturally, I try to stay out of it, but that isn't always possible. Anyway, along comes my son's first and only partner, Alex, 29 years old. They officially met a little over a year ago, though it sickened me to learn that they first began communicating years ago through a prison pen pal program. While Alex is quiet and polite in person, he is large, heavily tattooed, and is undeniably intimidating. He also has a mile-long record, some of it containing physical offenses. A large portion of the family refuse to be around him. He frightens them. Alex has recently proposed, and much to my displeasure, Jason said yes and is beyond delighted. Because his siblings have gotten beautiful weddings, which I footed the bill for, I'm not surprised that Jason came to me asking about a budget. The thing is, I can't in good conscience approve of this wedding. I swore I'd be there, I wouldn't miss it. I'll support Jason the best way that I can, but I simply do not approve, and I will not pay for something I am so terribly against. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Jason was distraught at this turn of events, though he was quite devastated. I think a lot of things were said on both of our sides that we regret. Me being an asshole was definitely said. I will say the rest of the family agrees with me. None of us want Alex around. None of us like him. The unfortunate side effect of all this is Jason alienating himself from the rest of us. He's gone cold stone, no contact with his siblings. Our texts have been few and far between and very impersonal. I've tried calling, no answer. I've tried going to his job site. He doesn't want to see me. I've gone to his place where he currently resides with Alex. The lights are on, yet they act like nobody is home. The family blames Alex for this behavior. It's what abusers do, so the selfish part of me wants to blame Alex as well. I'm not entirely convinced, though. I still have Jason's voice ringing in my ears telling me I'm an asshole. Am I? Now for the advice. I was going through this post to see if someone else had said this. Imagine going through life knowing that your father will stay out of it when people attack your identity. He would rather maintain a surface calm and let his son deal with the hostility alone, rather than ally with him in this particularly conservative area where even family members have engaged in much conflict with him, conflict associated with his identity and leavened with the knowledge that his father would rather avoid helping his son in the face of this conflict. So of course he will respond differently than if his father had his back. Your son needs to learn whether or not you will be there for him if he winds up in an abusive relationship. It's possible that won't happen. Alex may have turned over a new leaf through reflection, counseling, and psychotropic meds. He may be rehabilitated or may not be. If you want to stay out of it, if Alex abuses him just as you have with family, including your neglect and community abuse against him, then you stick with no and send him on his way. But if you care about him at all and want him in your life so you can rescue him if Alex abuses him, then you pay for his wedding just as you have for your other spoiled, flawed offspring. That shows him that you love and support him even if you think he's making a mistake. So that if he's attacked and has to run at 3 a.m. or if he turns suicidal, he might reach out to you for help. Again, unless you want to stay out of it. Even if Alex truly is bad news, and I don't automatically assume just from having been in prison it would require more info, and OP is not a reliable narrator, OP does not see how they've set up a situation where he and his family cannot be trusted to distinguish between genuine concerns and blatant homophobia. Ironically, this kind of unsafe home environment growing up makes it harder for people to identify when they've landed in an abusive situation as adults. And yeah, I stay out of it is I never protected my child. Your son doesn't trust you either, OP, and that's on you. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.